The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Yunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? Ha! I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. You're wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I did not commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Yunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Wait! Your Excellency! Yunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems this trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make a ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, the ruling on this case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can't be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Yunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has undergone the court's scrutiny. Has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha! My thought exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where this print will see the significant detail to which you have alluded.
Yes!
Look at this, here! There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed that when he was performing the post-mortem examination, it was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? You believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise the shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid without any evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than a conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked a burn to the victim's wrist on the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Oh! There we have it!
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have an unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate. Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnaval. Ah! This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape! Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on! Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Auchi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It is inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but have not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnaval, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And there's a strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Auchi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ryunosuke. Do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.